All righty, welcome into the Gary Ayd Show, an historic show. A show that I never thought I would get to do. A show that I think most people never thought would be possible because of an event that happened last night that really didn't feel possible. That scoring record of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held for nearly 40 years. And last night, LeBron James, in year 20, averaging 30, became the NBA's all-time scoring leader. We have a ton of audio to share with you today, and just a lot. There's a lot I want to say. There's a lot to say. First of all, this type of record, there's only one way to achieve it. The same way Kareem achieved it is the same way LeBron achieved it, which is sustained levels of play for 20 plus years. And what makes this record, one of the reasons why it stood for so long under Kareem and will probably stand for as long, if not longer, under LeBron, and we'll see where he finalizes when his career does eventually wind down, whenever that is, probably a couple of years from now. It's going to, each time it gets harder, not because necessarily the total is higher, but because you can only average so many points. And there are limits to the physical possibilities of the human body. I mean, so if LeBron finishes with, say, 45,000, which is entirely possible, that would mean, if you do quick math, you would need to average roughly 25 a game for 25 years, a little less. That becomes impossible at a certain point. So the way Cy Young's win total is impossible to reach, this may not ever be quite that unassailable, but it might be close. If LeBron finishes with like 45 to 48,000 points, you're going to have to average 30 points a game for 20 years or 25 for 25. That's what it's going to take to beat a record like that. And by the way, it won't work at all. This is where the similarities to the win totals and other pitching records in baseball come into play. Even if you do average 30 for 20 years, if you're playing 60 games a year, you're still not going to get there. With the load management approach, the way you in baseball, you're not going to get there. Even if you average 30 starts a year, with the way they take guys out so early, you're not going to get the wins. So I think that I don't know that people quite grasp the likelihood that what we witnessed last night is a singular event, if not for all time, for decades. I mean, I would venture to guess it's likely that 70% or more of the people on the earth right now won't be around if this gets broken again. I mean, I think it's almost a sure thing that this record will stand for at least as long as Kareem's stood for. Because think about it like this. I did this math one time. Kevin Durant, long considered the better of the two scorers, more or less contemporaries of LeBron. They're 4 years apart. LeBron's not retiring, anytime soon. So let's just say LeBron plays 3 more years. And let's say he finishes at 45,000. Right now, as it stands, Durant's about 11,000 or so points behind LeBron. So if LeBron retires at 45, and let's say Durant is at 32 when LeBron retires, he would be 36 at the time, 37, 38, something like that. Durant would be. He would have to average 3,000 points a year, 2,000 points a year for like 5 more years to come anywhere close. It's not going to happen. Steph Curry, I don't care how many threes he makes, he's not getting to this record. Like, so the guys that you would look at now, active guys who you could even try to make a case for, when you start doing just the route math, it's not going to happen. I mean, you look at a younger guy like Luka Doncic, he has to play like this for another 20 years. And he needs LeBron to eventually decide he wants to retire. That's the other thing. So, man, this record is crazy. I mean, that number is insane. That's a lot of friggin' points. And I mean, the way you beat that, the only way to do it is just longevity. And the longer LeBron plays at this level, the more against the limitations of humanity this record becomes. I mean, I do believe this is the type of record that has a maximum volume to it. In other words, I do think if LeBron doesn't do it, the next person might, if there is a next person, which is push it beyond the realm of reachability by humans. I do think there is a absolute limit to where this record can fall based on the current configuration of the sport. I think something fundamental would have to change, like the number of games or something carnival like where twos became threes and threes became fours, or so. Like it would take something like that, I think, to beat a record like this if LeBron pushes it out to say 45 or 47,000 points. It becomes almost like you look at it on the page and think, okay, that's not possible. Like one of those records.
I don't think I'll see this record broken in my lifetime.
I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime.
I'm pretty sure of it. It's unbelievable. There was just something magical about last night. Incredible to watch. When you go back and look at this career, which is still going quite strong.
Yes.
The way it was done. You don't see now in 2023 very many players playing 82 games.
No, I mean, even LeBron doesn't really do that very often.
Right. Well, at his age, I mean, he did it through a lot of his career. You don't see that. And it's, wow. I mean, I'm almost at a loss. I really am. He has done that consistently.
It's amazing. I mean, you look at his numbers and you pull up just any random season. And by the way, Kareem fit this bill too. Kareem until year
Kareem
19,
was not excellent in year 20.
No, he wasn't. That's what I was just going to say. Through year 18, you could say LeBron is the only guy other than Kareem to maintain a close to prime level of play that late into a career. From year 19 on, LeBron became the only guy to do so.
Right.
But the reason...
I mean, even Dirk had 18 solid, really good years.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But he didn't have 20.
Right. There's a handful of guys that had 18, maybe two that had 19 besides LeBron himself. LeBron's the first to have 20 because the guys that had 18 or so were, you mentioned Dirk, Kareem, of course, LeBron, Karl Malone, and Kobe Bryant all had like pretty good year 18s. And then beyond that, it falls off a cliff. It becomes LeBron and nobody else, basically. And
true, very true.
But that's why Kareem had the record for so long, and it's why it was him and no one else, because before LeBron, Kareem was an alien. Kareem was the only guy that sustained that level of scoring for that many years ever until LeBron. Like, he was the only one that did that. You know, the other guys we mentioned were still pretty good in year 18, but they weren't as good as Kareem was in year 18. So that's the reason. So in a sense, you really have to be basically as good as you were in year 6, in year 20 to even have a shot at this record, or at least year 19 at the very minimum. Man, this isn't happening. And the stars were out. I mean, this was one of those like magical sports moments, a lot of audio. So let's get to some of that. I'm going to start with Let's start with Kareem on LeBron James.
LeBron's career is one of someone who planned to dominate this game. He got out of high school. He had the size and the talent to step right into the NBA, and he immediately started to have his effect. And, that's gone for almost 20 years now. So I think that, you got to give him credit for just the way that he planned to last and to dominate. And he led his team to...
Yeah, it goes on from there. So the important stuff there, planning to dominate and being consistent. And Kareem, like we said, was the only other guy to really attain this. That's why it was so important. I think it was important that he was there. I think it was good for him to be there because I think he got introduced in some ways to a bunch of younger fans who may not really know who he was or what he did. Maybe they just vaguely know the name. And I thought the way they did the handoff with the ball was really cool. And one thing that I thought would get more criticism today on the socials that I haven't seen, which I'm happy about. I really thought there were going to be a lot of people that were going with that whole, they interrupted the game to have this celebration. I thought we were going to get those curmudgeon-y comments, and thankfully we haven't, because I would have
saw a lot of everything else.
Everything else. Yeah, we'll get to that. There was a lot of it. But I was disappointed. I'm sorry. I should have said I would have been very disappointed if they didn't do that. I mean, that was the deal. And the way
that normally happens in every sport.
Right. I mean, when you're approaching a record like that, this isn't like becoming a 300 game winner or, reaching 30,000 points or some other monumental milestone. This is like a top category all-time total overall record. I mean,
right.
You would expect if someone ever beat Pete Rose's hit record, for example, you would expect something similar. I would. If someone beat the all-time record for Jerry Rice's touchdown receptions, I would expect a ceremony like this. And this is a big deal. And I was so happy that they did that and that we didn't see a lot of that curmudgeon-y stuff. Now, more from LeBron. Here's the actual record-breaking shot. So here it is right here.
Looking for James. He's got it. Coming to the end of the third quarter. LeBron James, a shot at history. LeBron stands alone. The NBA's all-time scoring record now belongs to LeBron James.
That's awesome. And
it was a great call.
It was a great call. And Brian Anderson did himself a lot of credit last night with the way he called that game, along with Stan Van Gundy, and even the studio team were pretty good. I texted you during the game. I kind of wished that this game would have been on ESPN. I think this would have been better with Breen and company. Or if they had like Marv Albert come out of retirement for one more game, but these guys did a very good job. And, this was awesome. Here's one more of that same play.
Westbrook's got it just inside half court. Westbrook with it. Give it to LeBron at the right elbow. LeBron, one-on-one against Kenrick Williams, backing him in. Turns, shoots, scores! There it is! All hail the new king in town! Young and old, gather round from one iconic Laker to another. The king LeBron James has passed the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and LeBron now stands alone as the NBA's all-time leading scorer. 38,338 points and counting. LeBron stands alone at the top. The game has been stopped.
That was ESPN 710 in Los Angeles. The first one was the national call. Both were pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, this was cool last night. A couple other things to get to. One thing that was kind of neat is LeBron came into this game basically with his mind made up. I'm getting this tonight. The way the commentators made a deal of it. The way he came in all black, dark business attire. He had the bandana on. He even said to his son, "I'm going for this." A little snippet of audio caught like a hot mic, if you will. Here it is.
Right here, huh? 16.8 points a quarter. Go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it. I'll get it.
I love the casualness of that. Like, yeah, okay,
so
fine.
matter of fact. I'll get it.
Yeah, fine. You want me to get it tonight? All right, fine. Yep, that's fine. I'll go do it.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's great.
It's good stuff. Shaq, believe it or not, I have to give Shaq, the broadcaster, credit, like serious credit, maybe for the first time ever. He actually did a bit of real journalism. He asked LeBron if this made him the GOAT. LeBron's first response was basically, it's great locker room talk. Then Shaq asked again. He's like, I don't really, come on. I want to hear it from you. And then LeBron gave him an answer. Here's the first comment after Shaq's initial question.
The GOAT, and where would you put yourself in that conversation?
I don't know, man.
That's not the right one. But Shaq, let's try this one.
I said at the beginning of the show, I wish that I would have had this moment, the chance to pass up Kareem. You now pass up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I know what my attitude would have been. Does this now make you the greatest player of all time? Are you now the GOAT?
I'm gonna let everybody else, decide who that is, or just talk about it. But it's great.
No,
it's
no,
great
no,
barbershop talk.
No.
Oh,
for
no,
me,
I want to hear you say it.
Listen, big fella.
I want to hear you say it, Bron. Say it,
Me
Bron.
personally,
Say it with your chest,
I'm gonna take myself against anybody that's ever played this game.
Good job, Shaq.
But everyone's gonna have their favorite. Everyone's gonna, decide who their favorite is. But I know what I've brought to the table. I know what I bring to the table every single night, and what I can do out on this floor. So. I always feel like I'm the best to ever play this game, but there's so many other great ones, and I'm happy to just be a part of their journey.
See, and this is the type of thing that people are going to latch onto, his critics, and try to pick apart. But there's nothing wrong with him saying that, because he's in a position where he can legitimately believe that. He should think that. I mean, a lot of pro athletes think they're the best because you almost have to have that mentality to play at that level. But to say it out loud publicly like that, and it's likely true, or very within the realm of debatability true. I mean, I don't have a problem. Look, I've never had a problem with people knowing how great they are and saying it when it's true. And he has every reason to feel that way. There's no reason he shouldn't feel that way. There's probably 10 other guys that should feel the same way. But he's one of those 10, whether you want to say it's 10, 12, 25, whatever you want to draw the line at, those people should have every right to say something along the lines of what LeBron said to Shaq there, because it's not wrong. I mean, if everyone else says it about you, then why can't you say it about yourself? I've never understood that. If it's true, it's true.
Right. And that's what I expect him to say.
Right. Well, what else is he going to say? He's not.
That's what I expect Any to say. And if that interview went out a little longer, you'd have recognized the other names he mentioned in there.
That's right. Yep.
That it was not just him. It was, he mentioned Kareem and Will Bird and a lot of people.
Yeah. Like I said, I've always said there's about 10 guys that you can make an argument for: Jordan, Kareem, Will, Russell, Oscar Robertson, Bird, Magic Johnson, LeBron James. There's 10 or so of them. And you could take your pick. Me personally.
And none of them are wrong.
No, they're not wrong. I'm very consistent with this across every sport. I value longevity and sustained play more than anything else. And by that standard, by the way I evaluate players, LeBron's an easy choice. Now, other people, have other things that they care about more. And, if you're talking pure championships, well, Bill Russell. If you're talking about number of awards and Q rating and, popularity and quote, changing the game and all that stuff, that's where you get the Jordanites. If you're talking about just pure sustained excellence over a long period of time, I mean, LeBron's the answer. If you're talking peak dominance, then you go with Wilt. So like there's, if you want to grade the eras on a curve, which I certainly do with the quarterback discussion in the NFL, I don't really count any quarterback that's played in the last 20 years among the very best ever, because I think the position is so much easier to play than it used to be. So if you want to grade on the curve and you want to say certain eras were harder, like say the 60s were more physical or the 80s were more physical, then okay, you can go with Magic, Bird, or Oscar Robertson. And none of those arguments are wrong, but where I have a problem with the people who go against LeBron is, instead of arguing like that, they try to demean and belittle and delegitimize his accomplishments. They even go so far as to say, well, he has the stats, but he never does what it takes to win. That's just factually incorrect. This is a guy with 4 championships and 9 or 10 finals appearances. I'm sorry, making the finals is not the same as losing. Like, that means you were one of 2 teams there. The guy has 900 wins in his career and like 480 losses. He wins 2 out of every 3 games he plays. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, at least make an intelligent argument. Even if that argument is, I personally think Oscar was better, I liked his game better. Even if it's as non-convincing as that, at least it's not like making up things that aren't true. Like,
Right.
like you can hide.
You know who mine is, and I've never changed it.
Yeah, your will, and that's fine.
And I've never changed it, but that doesn't mean I don't respect any of the other names.
Right. To me, I was always a Kareem guy until 2016. So this last night didn't actually change it for me. It was just a punctuation mark, an exclamation point. Once LeBron kind of moved beyond everyone else other than Kareem in terms of sustained excellence, the versatility, that's the other thing that I look at with this is versatility. How many different ways can someone beat you? And LeBron is as versatile a player in basketball as has ever been in any sport. And that combination, by the time he won his last title in Cleveland, kind of put him over the top for me. And then as he's just compiled more and more statistics in the ensuing 7 years, it becomes harder and harder to refute that sustained run of excellence for me. Because like I said, that's always my my top criteria. Like I'll take a guy who's great for 18 years over a guy who was maybe slightly greater for 10. That's just how I am. I've always believed in that.
And I understand that.
Like in the baseball context, I'll take Randy Johnson or Greg Maddux or Roger Clemens or Steve Carlton over Sandy Koufax or Bob Gibson any day, because while those two might have been greater at their peak, the other guys I mentioned sustained most of their peak for double the time. And that matters to me a lot.
Okay.
It always has. But what a night. What a great night. Let's take a break. We'll come back. I want to get a little more reaction to this. I want to specifically talk about what this means going forward and sort of the reaction of the Laker team in last night's historic game. Again, LeBron James becomes the all-time scoring leader in NBA history last night, passing the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Back to continue the conversation next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. All right, we're back. A little reaction from our social post from last night. Just when it happened, we put up a breaking news bulletin. Got some reaction to it. Larry Rivera chimes in. Go. If not now, it's definitely when he retires. The numbers will be hard to break. 30 points or more for 20 years or more. He's right. That's what I was saying. 100% agree, Larry. Couldn't agree more. For what it's worth, our buddy Brett just replied to Larry with laughing emojis. That's not very useful, Brett. You can do better than that. Come on, man. Defend your position. Let's go. Step up your game. Steve Spindler writes, my humble opinion, and Steve's a good friend of mine. I've known Steve for 30 years or better. I used to own a deli in town for a long time. A great sports fan, big time sports fan, loves Chicago sports in particular, which makes this an interesting comment from him. My humble opinion, GOAT. The strongest, most athletic basketball player I've ever seen. Steve, for context, Rich is about your age, 38 years old, still getting it done. There you go. So a little reaction from some of our audience. Look, it's good stuff.
I sat up half the night trying to think of what the best way to say what I wanted to say, and I completely drew a blank when you threw it to me. So, but greatness comes in many sizes.
Yes.
Many facets and many forms.
Yes.
No matter who you feel is great, never criticize greatness. Mm-hmm. Greatness isn't handed out at a table.
Nope.
It's achieved.
Yep. Absolutely.
This has been achieved for years.
Yep. Decades.
Yeah. And I'm listening to and just reacting to what I saw on socials and what I'm continuing to see.
It's disturbing.
It just drives me crazy. Let me see if I can find
a couple of them.
Just a couple of things I had here.
Yeah. While you do that, I'm gonna say this: the reaction of the Laker players was awesome. The reaction from players around the league was tremendous. I was surprised and sort of amused that Bill Clinton, of all people, made an appearance with a video. Congratulations. I thought that was kind of cool. Some of the other ones like Drake and Snoop Dogg, I expected. I know they're friendly with LeBron. Certainly I was, the Dwayne Wade and the Chris Paul and the Carmelos, like, I knew there would be player tributes like that. I assumed those guys would be among them. Wade was actually in the building. But I thought the coolest thing of all of it was, and this is one of the other things about LeBron, this doesn't have to do with basketball, but the fact that his family was there. And it's amazing to me that a guy who was raised by a single mother with no male figure in his life can be the type of father he so clearly is to his sons. Because typically that type of neglect is perpetuated from one generation to the next because it's what you learn. So that sort of like lack of responsibility taking as a father is something that, generally speaking, if you had a lousy father or didn't have a father, you're going to be a lousy father or not be a good father. Ted Williams is an example of this. Larry Bird, who did have a father, but his dad killed himself at one point, was not the best father. He was okay. Karl Malone's another example of this. LeBron James had every reason to be like just not a good family man. And instead, he's the opposite of that. And I mean, this guy's been under the limelight in the most exposed era in world history in terms of just the volume of stuff that's out there. And there's not one time where he's gotten a DUI, been out drinking, had an affair, none of that stuff. He's not caught dealing with drugs. Like the fact that with that amount of attention at that young age, with that little paternal guidance, I mean, his mother did a good job, obviously, but I'm talking about a father figure now. With all of that going against him, it's one thing to be a great player, but to have that type of grounding and family stability is truly amazing. And I was so happy that they were all there for that, because that type of connection oozed out of the emotions of all of that. And I loved it. I really did. And I don't really generally care about stuff like this, but like it was so obvious last night during the ceremony that it stood out to me.
I do care about stuff like that because of my background. But he's a perfect example of how you can work your way up from a disadvantaged beginning.
Yep, that's right.
Through hard work, dedication, focus, striving for perfection, as he says.
Yep. And that's the important thing, I think, to emphasize, because, you know, it's easy to refute and be like, well, LeBron James, look at the talent and the physical gifts he has. And, you know, not everyone has that. And that's true. But you know what? Look at his work ethic. I would challenge anybody, regardless of their age, vocation, or ability level. If you work as consistently hard for as sustained a period of time as LeBron has at basketball, you will absolutely achieve a significant level of success in your chosen vocation, regardless of what your innate talent level is. I do believe it's important to focus that intensity and that work on things that you have natural aptitude for. But I think that no matter what that aptitude level is, if you work the way LeBron works and invest in yourself the way LeBron invests in himself, you know, within your own means, of course, you'll achieve something. You will. It's a guarantee. There's no substitution for hard work, dedication, and believing in yourself and going after your own ambitions and goals. And, you know, like LeBron said during the post game, this was never something he shot for or even looked at. And I think it was, I forget who it was on the post game, the woman basketball player. I don't know, was it Candace? Was that
Yes.
who? It was okay, it was
Yes.
Candace Parker. Okay, so she asked I thought a good question, which was at what point in your career did you look at this and say, I want to get that? And LeBron's answer was basically pretty much never. He said this was never an objective of mine. He said at some point I must have looked up and thought, oh, wow, I'm getting kind of close. But he said this happened organically from just trying to be the best I can every night and, you know, sustaining my level of play for as long as I could. And that's an honest answer, and it's the only way to do it.
Right.
There's no other way to break a record like this.
You know, it's not excellence. I'm sorry. It's strive for greatness.
Yep.
So I misquoted there. Is he perfect? No.
No one is.
No one is.
You can't be perfect.
No one is. He's had a couple of missteps. I got on him, and I thought deservedly so, for not using his platform to speak out about injustices in China.
Mm-hmm.
And he said and done a couple other things that I just completely disagreed with. But his greatness on the court is unquestionable. And he's created much more good off the court to significantly offset some missteps.
Yes. Yeah. But bottom line,
I mean, he's educated people.
LeBron's a good guy, is what it boils down to. He might be misguided, or, you know, maybe we disagree with him on some things, even strongly disagree. But at his core, LeBron's a good person.
Yes.
You don't become the family man that we were just talking about by being a jerk. I mean, because there would be nothing to stop him from just getting whatever woman he wanted for as long as he wanted.
Right.
But he's not wired that way. And, you know, you have to respect a guy like that. He's there. He's an involved father. That's probably an understatement. His sons clearly look up to him. And, like, you know, that's all indicative of a decent person.
Yes.
Yes. And
well, I look at it, and you look at people that a lot of people consider role models, celebrities, even politicians. He's a better role model than either of them because he's earned his keep.
Yes.
And he hasn't earned it through luck or ruthlessness.
No. Yeah.
He's earned it. He's earned it through hard work and dedication.
Yes. He was blessed with prodigious gifts.
Yes.
And he maximized them and continues to do so.
When someone asks me how good I really think he is, I just have one question back for them. Could you go an entire summer without eating a carb?
Yeah.
He did.
It's insane.
I wouldn't even try.
No, God, no. Absolutely not. So this was, and we're harping on this because let's just be honest.
It's history.
It's history. This is something, like I said at the beginning of the show, you're never going to see this again, most likely. This specific thing.
Oh, I know I won't.
I mean,
there's no one I've seen that I think could sustain that. If there's one that has potential to do it, Lucas shows no inclination to play that long.
He specifically said that. That's right.
Yes.
Yep.
He goes 12 to 15 and I'm done.
Yeah. And
I'll give him credit if he gives us 12 to 15 years of what he's given us.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing is too, I think if anyone's going to break it, it's not someone who's in the league right now, because even Luka, let's say LeBron plays 3 more years. Luka is then 6 years in, or 5 years in, whatever, 5 years in, something like that, into, by his own admission, a 12 to 15 year career. So he's already 30%, 50 to 30% into his career. And the guy who he's chasing hasn't stopped adding points yet.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if this is ever going to be broken, this I'll say with certainty, I would bet my house on this. The guy that breaks this record, if someone ever does, is not playing right now. None of LeBron's contemporaries that are sharing the league with him right now are going to break this record.
No.
Because
think of how hard it is, though. Think of how hard it is to play that many games for that many years.
At that level of
yes.
ability. I mean, because think about Vince Carter, who played 20 years, right? How
21, I think.
21 or 22, actually 22. But of those 22, how many was he a role player for? At least half of them. You know what I mean? When was Vince Carter last great? 2010? 2009? Something like that? I'd have to look it up. I'm just off the top of my head. But like when you look at other guys with really long careers like that, by year 12 to 15, they're kind of at the point where they're just kind of role players. I mean, there's only been so many guys that have played that many years, and none of them were that good that long, with the exception of Kareem, who made it through 18 years as a great player and then played 2 more years as a good player.
Right.
But it's hard. It's historic.
No, it is. It is. It's to do anything at that level for that long is difficult.
Right.
Now, someone said yesterday, let's put it into a little perspective. Kareem finished high school and went to UCLA for 4 years. That gives James an edge in the time element. Kareem was a post-up player with an undefendable skyhook worth 2 points. The 3-point rule wasn't adopted until 79, when Kareem started the second half of his career. Mm-hmm. Not to take anything away from James, but it's not a level scoring record table.
Well, I have a couple of counters to that. First of all, Kareem they still played the same number of NBA years. Okay. So there's that. But the other thing is LeBron did this in 150 fewer games. So that, to a large extent, negates the 3-pointers. I'd have to go and do complicated math, which I'm not going to do on the air right now. But suffice to say that...
No, I don't want you doing complicated math on the air.
No. But like, suffice to say, 150 games is essentially 2 seasons worth. 2 seasons faster. So if you want to, do the math, go for it. But I'm going to say that because the 3-point factor is a factor. There's no question about that.
Yes.
But 150 games fewer is also an equally big factor. I think those two more or less cancel each other out. I do think it's a pretty even playing field. Because like they played the same number of NBA years, and Kareem didn't play as a freshman at UCLA. He wasn't allowed to back then. Freshmen weren't allowed to play on the varsity. So that's like 1 year where he didn't have wear and tear in his body.
Right.
So, and Kareem played till he's 42. LeBron's 38 right now. So, but, I mean, look, I don't know. You can't convince people what they don't want to be convinced of. All I can tell you is this. There are precious few people in all of sports that have the ability to generate conversation like this on both sides of it. And the one thing I think detractors of any great person have to know in the back of their head, whether they ever admit it out loud or not, or even admit it to themselves or not, is that that person that they are detracting against is as important to them in a weird way as that person is to people who are fans of that great person. Because like there's a lot of great players in the NBA. None of them generate conversation the way this guy does. Not even close. And
and it also helps that media is different now.
Yep.
Than it was then. There's much more conversation to be had.
Absolutely.
So we'll say that. Here's another one that baffled me. I can't pinpoint why, but LeBron James evokes no emotion, no thrill, and gives no weight to the idea that scoring the most points is a big deal. It's a longevity award. It's an award like a Purple Heart. Something happened and you get an award. We used to joke that a Purple Heart medal should be renamed the Enemy Marksmanship Medal. The NBA all-time scoring record should be labeled the, quote, I can shoot and the refs call a lot of fouls when I do award. Is he a good person? By all evidence, yes, yes, and yes. X over words. The man shows character in many ways. I just can't get excited about a longevity record. People are going to tear this apart.
So what do you want? What do you want? Like, we're not going to keep scoring records? Because the only way you get a record like this is longevity. It's not possible to do any other way. Dude, we're talking about almost 40,000 points. You get them 2 or 3 at a time. How else are you going to do it? You got to play forever. Unless you're Cam Thomas, you can average 40 forever. Okay, then he'll do it in half the time. There you go. There's your big
really. Let's discuss that possibility. It's not stopping now. It's going on here.
There's your hope, LeBron haters. Become Cam Thomas fans. He can average 40 for 10 years, and there you go. You can have your new guy. Stan Van Gundy made a comment like that, tongue in cheek, of course, on the broadcast. It was pretty funny. We got a comment up here from Brett. He wants to take on Anthony Davis not partaking in the celebration and sitting on the bench. Well, Anthony Davis didn't partake in anything last night. He wasn't there.
Anthony Davis didn't partake in the game.
Right, that's what I mean. He was a total no-show. That guy is a straight-up loser. The fact that LeBron won a title with him is incredible. The fact that they kept him in one piece for a year is amazing. You talk about a Lifetime Achievement Award. Winning anything with that clown is incredible. Davis has always frustrated me. I would do the trade again in a heartbeat. They got a championship out of it. I know people like to pretend that didn't happen, but it did. And the truth is the guys they traded for him, while good, have shown no indication that they are going to move the needle any further than Davis moved the needle for the Lakers. I've always made the same argument for the Knicks trading for Carmelo Anthony. I don't care that they gave up a bunch of good players to get a great player. They could say all they want. Well, they could have just signed him in the offseason. Well, the Lakers thought that with Paul George, and how'd that work out? So get your guy when you can get your guy. But Davis last night was an embarrassment. I mean, I know the camera caught him sitting there on his hands after LeBron broke the record, and that's one bad look. But I can even excuse that because, different people react to big emotional moments differently. Some people just kind of get lost in the moment. But where I can't accept what Davis did last night is on the court. The guy was a complete no-show. If he tries to play in this game, the Lakers probably win. I mean, this guy is an embarrassment on the court last night. He really was.
I don't get it.
A total embarrassment on the court.
He was. I texted you a comment yesterday that I didn't even make it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, he
was a non-entity.
He's a non-entity. Your daughter said that. That's great analysis. It's right on the money. He is a non-entity. He was a non-entity. I mean, there was one rebound. I forget who chased it down, but Davis didn't even attempt to go after it. He just looked not interested.
Well, on one of their many turnovers, the ball went right by him before a Thunder player. And give the Thunder credit. They hustled.
They did. No, they did.
He let it go by him before someone else, I think it was Alexander, picked it up. It's like, dude, show a little something.
Yeah, try. Yeah. And, that was another bit of social stuff I saw, was that LeBron didn't win the game. It doesn't mean anything. Like, of course it means something. This game didn't mean anything. Let's just be honest. It counts in the standings. I understand that it was a significant game in the standings. I get that. But the bottom line is, when there's a moment like this in play, the outcome of the game is irrelevant. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Do you remember? Because I don't. Who won the game after 9/11 that Mike Piazza hit that historic home run? Makes no difference who won the game. What mattered is that a big New York icon at the time hit a home run to signify New York is back. And Ray Charles sung the anthem.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Ray Charles is awesome.
That's what you remember from that. It's the weight of the day. The outcome of those type of games is irrelevant. The outcome of last night's game doesn't matter. That wasn't part of what people were there for yesterday. I mean, we cancel games for things, sometimes. Like, I would have even been okay if they said we're not playing the rest of this game. I mean, I knew they weren't going to do that, nor should they have. But like,
right,
that ceremony that kind of changed the pace of the game, the Lakers really never regained their footing after that. I would normally be upset about that, but on a night like that, with that kind of accomplishment, I don't care. Like, I don't care if LeBron, because he took himself out of the game with the foot problem, which he was questionable going into the game to begin with.
Right.
Is it possible that LeBron just said, I want to get this tonight, and pushed himself through that injury? And then once he got it, he said, let me just make sure my ankle's okay. Yeah, I think
so. And I wouldn't be surprised if he rested on Thursday.
I think that's likely. And I'm okay with that. This is not this idea that, he pushed himself to get an individual award. This isn't like some fluff thing. He wasn't padding his stats to make an all-star team. This is the all-time scoring record. Like, you're supposed to want that when you're that close.
And what people aren't looking at, and I've been critical of LeBron through the years, and you know it.
Oh, yeah.
And we both have, to an extent, me a little more than you, but hey, guess what? I don't back down from anything I said. And I fully believe I was right. But today we're giving him praise, and it's deserved. And you want to know why? History matters. Period.
It absolutely does. And
if this mic wasn't so heavy, I'd drop it. It absolutely does matter. And history was made.
Right. And history has different weights, right? Like, not all history is created equally.
Hey, I was at the game in 2011, the first game played on 9/11, the day 9/11, 10 years after, where Derek Jeter broke the Yankees record for most hits.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
For the franchise.
Yep.
Not one person has ever asked me to that point, they lost that game, didn't they? No, they don't.
Yeah, no.
They don't ask. They were like,
cares?
oh, you were there.
Right.
Cool.
Right. Exactly. That's a great example of what I'm talking about. There are certain things that make the outcome of that particular game irrelevant. And this is one of them. The game coming back from 9/11 was another. That Jeter game you just quoted is a great example. You can pick examples like the game that Emmitt Smith broke Walter Payton's rushing record. Do we know who they played or what the outcome of that game was?
Nope.
Does it matter?
Nope.
Not even a little bit, right? Makes no difference.
It doesn't faze me in the least.
Makes no difference. And did anyone say, well, it's a longevity award? I guess people have said that about Smith, but any of these things require longevity. That's how you
don't
them.
Set records without it.
Right.
So
exactly.
That argument is just ridiculous.
And the idea of being a quote compiler has always been a laughable thing for me. Because what does compiling mean? It means adding stats in the context of sports, right? Well, if you compile stats, it means you're good enough to produce those stats. So what's the detraction? Like these guys that get in the Baseball Hall of Fame that people say, oh, he was a compiler. So that means he was really good for a really long time. Isn't that the goal?
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
Well, he compiled a lot of hits. Well, isn't that his job?
Is that what he's supposed to do? Right. Like, what are you
I mean,
talking
LeBron
about?
compiled rebounds, assists, and blocks,
And points and steals and
yeah, and
and playoff appearances and blah blah blah.
playoff appearances. Yes.
Yes. Championships, finals appearances, whatever you want to say. I mean, I hate that argument in all sports. That argument, that's probably my least favorite argument against accomplishment is, well, he's a compiler. Well, you can only compile if you're good. Like,
right.
How's Udonis Haslam's compiling going? How's that working out? He's compiling splinters in his butt from sitting on the bench for 15 years. Like, come on, give me a break. All right, let's take a break. Come back. We're gonna do a top 5. I'm sure it'll be a special edition, and we'll get to
you know it.
I know it. So we got that coming up. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. Alrighty, we're back here on the Gary Ayd Show, a special edition of the program commemorating the historic night that was last night as LeBron James became the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, surpassing the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was in attendance to symbolically pass the torch in the way of a basketball during a mid-game ceremony after LeBron's fadeaway jumper put him ahead. I give him a lot of credit, Kareem that is, for being there. And that was really, really cool. So anyway, top of hour 2 means the top 5 is here. And no Jack George today. Today, I think we just go right into it, Rich. I'm sure you got something particular prepared. So what do we got?
Your top 5 all-time LeBron James moments.
Okay. I figured it'd be something like this. I kind of prepared that idea.
Well, I actually have 2, but
okay.
one will wait until tomorrow.
Okay.
Because it's just as interesting. But...
All right.
FYI,
yes.
26,684 points
What's that?
is 11,700 less than what LeBron has.
Oh, that's where Durant's at right now.
And that's where Durant stands.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
yeah, good luck with
that's
that.
not happening.
Right.
Durant and Curry would be the 2 best players, 2 players with the best chance.
Right.
And both of them have had enough injuries to where it's
and they're both old enough that like LeBron still being here playing at this level basically precludes them, because if LeBron plays another 2 or 3 years and continues to be good, which is likely, that they're both at that point 15 to 18-year veterans, right? Like they're not going to make up 12,000 points or 11,000 points in, from years 17 on.
Right.
It's not going to happen. So yeah. Anyway, okay. Top 5 LeBron moments. Last night has to be number 1. I mean, that was
okay. It wasn't mine, but
yeah. I mean, the other one, of course, is the blocked shot. That's so iconic from the 2016 finals. But to me, last night was just historic. The whole feel of it. I believe a record like this is more impressive and more important than any championship, because there's a champion every year. Records like this happen once every 40 years, right? Every 30 years.
Right.
So
right.
To me, there are things greater and more impressive than winning titles. Making the Hall of Fame is one of them. Setting a record of this stature is definitely another. So that is definitely my first one. Number 2 is the block, for sure. Those are my top 2. Those are easy. I think number 3, I have to go back way in the archives. The way he single-handedly kicked the shit out of the Pistons when he was 22 years old for a whole quarter.
So far, your top 3 are the same as mine. Except we have 1 and 2
flipped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that was epic. And I got personal satisfaction out of that one, because from the time the Pistons beat my Lakers in 2004, I despised that team. So I was really, this was before I was a big LeBron fan, because it was early in his career. But I was just yeah, get him. I didn't like that Detroit squad. So I was happy to see them get punked by a 21-year-old. And then what's funny about that, fast forward to earlier this year, 20 years later, almost 15 years later, Rasheed Wallace saying that LeBron couldn't hang in his era. I'm like, first of all, you guys played a lot of years together. And second of all, I'm pretty sure you were one of the guys getting dunked on by LeBron when he was 21. Yeah, I think he was just fine.
Yeah, he hung just fine.
Let's see. Number 4 is probably the 2015 finals, when he single-handedly carried a team with a guy named Delly and Tristan Thompson and God knows what else to relevancy against an all-time great Warriors team. Led everyone on both teams in all 5 statistical categories for the series. And the guy that got finals MVP got it for slowing LeBron down to an average of 33 points a game. That was fun. That
was a joke.
And then I think the next one that comes to mind is probably the 2007 Cavaliers going to the finals at all with dudes named Sasha and Booby. You know, that's
Sasha was their second best player in those finals.
He was their second best guy. It should have been Larry Hughes, but he was the original Anthony Davis.
He was a no-show, yeah.
Yeah, the original bubble wrap.
And Big Z was hurt.
Yeah. Well, he was also near the end of his career. Z was
Z was.
Well, he was 10 years, 11 years in, and he didn't play super that
Z stayed until he won it, you know.
Yeah, he hung around with Miami.
Yeah, I mean, right? Z went to Miami with him, so.
Right. Yep. So yeah, but that's another one. You know, I was really impressed with it's not like particular moment or game, but the 2020 year that they won the title, where LeBron in year 17 or whatever it was won the assist crown, was pretty cool, because I mean, he had never won one before, but he's always obviously been a great passer. And I thought it was neat that he did that. And I really enjoyed watching him, maybe for the only time in his career, actually play point guard for that season.
Yeah.
You know, and it worked.
I have a different fifth one, but.
Oh, that was number 6. I'm just keeping.
Oh, okay.
What else?
Keep going.
Well, what's the one you had?
One you may not have.
Okay, yeah.
And only because I was there the year after they won the title. And I was there during that year too. So game 4 of the finals, they were down 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those you have to win, and it put the thought in my head, they've come back from 3-1. Could they come back from 3-0? No.
No.
But in that one game, LeBron had a 40-point triple-double. Kyrie also had 40. Love had 24 and 10, and they won 140-116 against a team that really couldn't be beat because they had Durant at that time.
Right.
And it was just one of the most, he willed that team and got some help, but he willed that team to that win. And it was probably the most amazing individual performance I had seen live since Bob McAdoo.
Yeah. No, LeBron has just such a list of these things. I mean, because the problem is, like, you could pick like a random game from a random playoff series in a random year and probably end up finding like a 30, 12, and 9 game. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many of them that, like, they don't. And this is the problem. This is one of the problems, I think, with one of the things that I think gives people the impression that maybe Jordan was better, is that sustained, consistent excellence over such a long period of time makes all of those games look like the one before, and thus dilutes the known pool of, you know, singular highlights. Like, it's almost easier to play 12 or 13 years and have 5 or 6 signature moments than it is to play for 20 and have, you know, probably hundreds of them. But not to say Jordan didn't have hundreds and hundreds of great games. Of course he did. But what I'm saying is, you pretty much know Jordan's, like, you almost don't have to do a top 5 for Jordan. You know what the 5 are.
The flu game.
Right. Yeah. The flu game, the shot on Elo, the push off. I mean, the shot against Brian Russell. Like, you know what they are. With guys like LeBron, Ted Williams, Emmitt Smith, with guys like this, it's hard to pull those highlights because they're just bloody consistent for so long.
Right.
So the highlights become the norm. That's really what I'm trying to say. At a certain point, a highlight, for it to be a highlight in a signature moment, it has to be significantly different than, you know, the rest. And when you play so long at such a high level, the highlight becomes the norm. and it becomes harder to pick.
Right.
And I think that sometimes works against guys who achieve this level of longevity and consistency. But yeah, no, that's a really good one. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna go with number 1 is last night for me. Number 2 is that block. Number 3 is the game against the Detroit Pistons. Number 4 is just making the finals in 2007 with that awful Cavs team. And number 5 for me is probably the 15 finals where he led everybody in everything. And like took a team who legitimately, because of injuries to Love and Kyrie, legitimately their second best play besides give the ball to LeBron was LeBron miss on purpose and maybe Tristan Thompson will get a putback. That was like the second best option. And they took a team that won a whole mess of games.
Yeah, it was 73.
Well, no, that was the year they lost the Warriors.
Right.
So they won like 60 something games that year and were healthy. And, LeBron's team certainly wasn't, and they won 6 games, I believe.
Yes.
And I think that's probably, Draymond Green loves LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
Thinks the world of him. And my guess is if you ever asked him where that respect was created, I would bet you he would say that series, because that had to be terrifying. You had to be looking at that and thinking, why are they in this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, because they were looking at sweep.
Right. So, anyway, those would be my top 5. And, yeah, I mean, look, pretty amazing stuff. Good stuff. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We have the radio question of the day. We got some news you can use. Tomorrow we'll transition more to some Super Bowl coverage. But right now, radio question of the day is next. It's the Gary Ayd Show, back after this here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All righty, we're back. Here's the radio question of the day.
Duquesne had a McDonald's delivery mid-game. I am KO. Back in a minute with your sports question of the day.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free continuous glucose monitor system. Managing your diabetes is crucial to your health. The new CGM systems can automatically manage your diabetes better for you. And by using a CGM system, you can eliminate forever one thing most people with diabetes hate the most: finger sticks. Now it's possible to manage your diabetes better, end the painful finger sticks, and get a new CGM monitoring system at little or no cost to you. We even provide in-home delivery and do all the insurance paperwork for you. Now is the best time to manage your diabetes better and get your continuous glucose monitor. Call now for details. Call 800-438-1391. 800-438-1391. 800-438-1391. That's 800-438-1391. Paid for by U.S. Med.
During a recent Duquesne-Loyola game, a man with a food delivery teetered onto the basketball court just feet away from Loyola player Philip Alston and tried to hand off his McDonald's bag to the referee. After investigating the incident, the Duke's athletic department reported that it was in fact a prank. In a statement, the university said, "We are mindful that incidents like this can put players and officials at risk." The Dukes responded to the incident by tightening their security measures and reviewing safety protocols. Question: do you or do you not think a few laughs are worth tightened stadium security?
Oh, please. Come on. It's a McDonald's delivery. Please. I mean, what are they gonna barf up their lunch during halftime? What are you afraid of?
I'm personally tired of it. I'm tired of all these people doing stupid things for TikTok moments. Come on.
Well, there's that too. Yeah, but I mean, like, come on, like
You did it during play. I mean, walked on the court. It was stupid.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Plain and simple.
It was dumb. But like the idea that that's gonna, the only person to get hurt is the guy making the delivery, right? Like, I mean, like,
yeah, or a player could accidentally be tripped into him, or anything can happen. Don't be where you don't belong.
I mean, what I want to know, if you're gonna tighten security from this, isn't something like that, like, shouldn't that be like part of the security you've already been doing? I mean, like,
that's what I thought.
How loose could it be if something like that, like this guy just nonchalantly like walked onto the court? Like, I mean, that was weird. I don't know. I personally, I saw this. I kind of laughed at it. I understand where people are maybe thinking it shouldn't happen, and I guess
it shouldn't. I don't think it should.
Yeah, no, it's definitely.
In order to film your moment, please. Although, if someone would have decked him, I might have enjoyed it a little more.
For context, though, just for the sake of argument, we do live in a sports world where not all that long ago, fans would rush onto the field while the band was playing and the play was still going on. Like, I mean, so like in the context of like things that were dangerous, this is kind of low on the totem pole. But yeah, it still shouldn't happen. I
more stupid than dangerous.
Yeah,
but...
yeah. It's you know what though? The other thing about it was, I thought it was pretty funny in a sense, because this was otherwise an irrelevant game to me. I mean, I'm not going to watch Duquesne and Duke, you know, so this gave me something to talk about. But no, you're right. It's stupid. It shouldn't happen. I just hope they don't overreact and overcorrect over an isolated dumb incident. But you know, one other thing that's going to be interesting is get ready, folks. He's back, or maybe back. The sale of the Suns was officially consummated yesterday, or might have been the day before. And now there are reports that Isaiah Thomas, that guy, is going to have, quote, a high-ranking position in the Suns front office. I hope you liked the last 4 years, Phoenix fans, because this is all you got for a while.
Oh, man.
Next up, he's going to sign Dwayne Dedmon to a 5-year, $80 million contract, because Dwayne Dedmon's going to have like one game of 10 points and 12 rebounds.
So Cleveland was the only team that didn't approve this or didn't vote on it.
Interesting.
I wonder if that's why. Oh, no, that idiot Isaiah is going to come into the...
Yeah, you wonder.
Right.
I mean, this, I have to tell you, this is not a good look for the new owner. You were thinking this guy, okay, he played major college basketball. He's pretty young. He's very successful, blah, blah, blah. You would think he'd be smart. And maybe he is, but this doesn't suggest that. I mean, this is like...
No, it suggests exactly the opposite.
Yes, exactly. It suggests high-level stupidity or unbelievable arrogance. Thinking, oh, well, that's just because of this guy. He'll be great with me. Like, it's one or the other. I guess it could be the second one where he's just so arrogant that he's like, I'll show them how smart I am. I'll turn this guy into a good GM. Or whatever role he's going to have. I guess, to be fair, it hasn't been announced other than it would be, quote, significant. So we'll see if it actually happens. But Kyrie Irving had a lot to say regarding his departure from Brooklyn. And I'm going to play some of this because I think it's interesting. It goes along with my long-standing theory that the Nets were kind of not proper here. So here's Kyrie on being disrespected by the New Jersey, aka the Brooklyn, aka the Long Island Nets, depending how old you are. So here we go. This is the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving. This is him speaking about their treatment of him.
In the seat today, I just know I want to be places where I'm celebrated and not just tolerated or just kind of dealt with in a way that doesn't make me feel respected. There were times throughout this process when I was in Brooklyn where I felt very disrespected, and my talent, I work extremely hard at what I do. No one ever talks about my work ethic though. Everyone talks about what I'm doing off the floor. So I just want to change that narrative, write my own story, and just continue to prepare in the gym. And now that I'm in Dallas, just focus on what I can control, like I said. And I'm always going to be close with those guys in Brooklyn, just like I'm close with guys in Boston, just like I'm close to guys in Cleveland. It is a team competitive sport, but we care about each other's families way more off the court. So I know those relationships will extend off. I'm just focused on preparing to win.
What did you feel like the Nets did that was disrespectful to you?
I think that's another day where I could really go into detail about it. I'm not the person to really speak on names and go to someone behind their back and try to leak stuff to the media. That's never been me. Now, I've been an audience member watching people say things about me that ultimately just fall off my shoulder. I'm really in a place that I'm grateful that I got to grow into over the last year and a half, 2 years. Spending time away from the basketball court gave me time to really appreciate life in a new way. And I just know I need healthy boundaries, especially in this entertainment business. There's a lot of disrespect that goes on with people's families, with their names, and I'm just not with it. So it's not personal against any of those guys against in the front office. It's just what I'm willing to accept. And I took a chance, and luckily and fortunately, the Dallas Mavericks picked me up. So it's just all what I can control.
All right. Well, touched on a lot of stuff there. I mean, some of it.
Yeah, he did.
Some of it I agree with, some of it I don't. But the overarching fact, and I was hoping he'd be a little bit more forthright with what exactly. That was a good question the reporter asked, and unfortunately he kind of dodged it. But I believe with all my heart that Kyrie Irving would be a member of the Brooklyn Nets if that front office treated him properly in the post-COVID vaccine thing. And actually, for what it's worth, because, whenever a trade happens, I always want to know what the mayor of the departing city has to say. So without disappointing me, Eric Adams, New York City's mayor, wants to call out Kyrie. So check this out. This is funny. So here's Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. So the head commie himself.
Okay, Mayor Adams, final question. If City Hall was a professional sports team and you had an employee who gave you as much drama as Kyrie Irving has given the Brooklyn Nets, and that employee said, could you trade me? Would you do the trade?
I will find a team that beats us the most and send him to that team, because then we'll start beating that team. It's about synergy and energy. No matter how much talent you have, your ability to interact with your colleagues is more important. One player can bring down the synergy of the team. And so I would send him to the team that beats us the most so we can start winning better.
Yeah. Sure. Great. So, Mayor, question. How about how's New York City doing right now? Last time I walked down, in the villages. I saw no villages. I saw empty villages. I saw empty storefronts. Yeah, is that because you have great synergy?
No, that's because Kyrie Irving was playing.
Oh, right. It's Kyrie's fault. That's right. I'm sorry.
It'll be fixed now.
Yeah, now it's good. Okay, so
why
now
are we asking a mayor about this anyway?
And the way that question was framed, what a doofus of a reporter. I don't know who that was, but he's like, isn't it funny? Oh, spare me.
Yeah. Well, everyone's had their take. I have one for you. I don't have it in actual audio, but
okay, what do you got?
Charles Barkley, quote, "I'm not a Kyrie guy. I mean, at some point, you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, if everyone's always talking bad about me, maybe I deserve some blame." He put out that cryptic tweet, though. Just keep people around you. I don't like people who say keep people around you who support you and be your friend no matter what. That sounds good, but your friends just can't tell you you're right all the time either. You've got to surround yourself with people who are going to be honest with you. Kyrie never thinks anything is his fault and everybody's out to get him. From a basketball standpoint, it's going to be interesting with the Mavs. I don't see how him and Luka can share the ball. I think that's going to be fascinating. Luka's a hell of a player. Kyrie's a terrific player also, but they both need the ball to be successful. Neither one of them are great defensively, so I think it's going to be interesting. But, man, I'm just sick of the whole Kyrie saga, to be honest with you. Close quote.
I mean, he said a lot there, and I think his take is well considered. I tend to segment the quote Kyrie saga into 3 distinct parts. I don't look at it as a continuous drama. I look at it as 3 specific shows, if you will. I look at the Cleveland show as the kid growing up, wasn't mature, wasn't ready to be asked to kind of subjugate his game for the betterment of a winning team. So he wanted to leave. Got to Boston. That immaturity was shown, manifested really. It was a disaster. Boston's on Kyrie. I believe he got to Brooklyn, and as he sort of mentioned in his own statement, he grew up quite a bit, and I believe Kyrie was in a good headspace. And
he was at home and wanted to stay.
I agree with that's what I think, and I think that the team is at fault in this one. So the one thing I disagree with the prevailing narrative on, and Barkley's take kind of is based on that narrative to a large degree. I don't really believe these things to be one continuous saga, as Barkley put it. I look at them as 3 distinct movies. And now we're getting ready to see the 4th movie. Now the analysis of sharing the basketball, that's fair. And we questioned that yesterday. I mean, that's definitely something to address. For what it's worth, Kyrie had some thoughts on playing with Luka himself. I'm going to play those real quick here to kind of piggyback off of what you just read from Barkley. So here we go. Take a listen. This is Kyrie. I'm playing with Luka.
Okay.
I think this is going to be my first time seeing like one of those bad Europeans come over and really dominate up close and have the opportunity to do it at a pace that I don't think has ever been seen before, other than like Larry Bird or like somebody else that just plays at their own pace, scores a bunch of points, and is constantly in an MVP conversation every year just because he commands that much attention. So as much as I can alleviate for him, as much as I can lead alongside him, willing to do, but there's no pressure here. Nothing's forced with me and him. I just want to play basketball and enjoy his talent and enjoy my teammates' talent and, work towards championship.
Yeah, I mean, look, nothing really crazy there, but I'll say this. I don't want to be the defense that has to guard the 2 of them. I'll tell you that. I mean, if they come anywhere close to figuring it out, that's certainly going to be not fun to deal with. We'll put it that way. So
I will play devil's advocate with this.
Okay.
He said all the right things when he got to Boston.
It's true.
He said all the right things on every stop. I don't give him as much of a pass as you do with Cleveland. I mean, LeBron even talked about wanting to pass the torch to him. So he gets blamed there for me. He doesn't in this. The Brooklyn thing is a completely isolated situation for me. And I don't give him blame in it.
No, I don't either.
I fear it's going to end up the same way in Dallas, but I don't know that. It's just that he's not the easiest person to please.
No, you're right. He's not. I will tell you this. I think if there is a player who will bend over, a great player who will bend over backwards to make this work, it is Luka. And because I believe Luka, more than any player in the NBA over the last 3 years, has been frustrated beyond belief at the lack of anyone else on his team to be able to just throw the ball to and take the weight off his shoulders. I don't think there's a player in the NBA over the last 3 years who has carried a bigger load consistently for a team that's around the realm of contention. Just like Atlanta a couple years ago, I believe Dallas overachieved last year. I thought not, but this season has proven otherwise. This guy, I think, is going to be elated to have someone of Kyrie's ability on his team. So I think he's going to go out of his way to make sure it works. I think Kyrie's arrival in a weird way could accelerate Luka's maturation into the next stage of his development, which is, subjugating his game for the betterment of the team. Now he has someone to subjugate it for. You know what I mean? He really was never going to do that because he really couldn't, before now. Because what were you going to do? Take the ball out of Luka's hands and give it to Christian Wood? Well, he's hurt. And even then, he's good, but he's not that kind of guy. What are you going to do?
Right.
You give it to Dorian Finney-Smith? No. What are you going to do?
No, there was no one. And Luka made that point. And I know Luka's quite excited about this.
He has to be. I mean, of course he would be.
He hasn't played with someone like this.
No, absolutely. He's got to be thrilled. And like I said, if they figure this out, even if they partially figure it out, that tandem is impossible to deal with. You can't guard those two. They're both insane. So anyway, really interesting stuff. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll finish today up with some news you can use. The Gary Ayd Show back after this here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you. With the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All righty, we are back. So one thing that I thought was interesting, I mentioned Bill Clinton kind of giving LeBron his flowers. What about Travis Kelce? That was an interesting one.
That doesn't surprise me because I know they know each other.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay. So that was pretty cool. He's got sort of a big game coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably a little busy.
All right. What do we got for news you can use today?
We had one game in the NHL last night that would interest you.
All right. What do we got?
Bo Horvat's off to a perfect start with the Islanders. They're 2-0 since he got there, and he scored his first goal as an Islander. They knocked off a hot Seattle team 4-0. Ilya Sorokin was outstanding in net. His 5th shutout of the year and his 15th of his career. I think that I think there could be a trophy in his future. He's having an amazing season. One game tonight that has a local involved. It's Vancouver at New York to take on the Rangers. What are we looking at here? You know, there were other games in the NBA last night.
There were.
You wouldn't know it because none of them really got a lot of attention, and understandably. Some guy they call the Joker had a triple-double at halftime.
Wow.
In Denver's 146-112 win over the Timberwolves. Cam Thomas became the youngest NBA player with 3 straight 40-plus point games.
He's going to break the record. It'll only take him 10 years.
See?
Ain't nothing. Cam Thomas, baby. That is pretty impressive, though. You know, I meant to mention something about this. This reminds me, I know what I'm about to compare it to lasted for a few weeks, not a few games, so it remains to be seen. But these first 3 games of Cam Thomas remind me very much of Linsanity. And I always thought that was overblown because of, Jeremy Lin's physical appearance and his background. I think
right.
The NBA overemphasized it for that reason. It'll be interesting to me if Cam Thomas continues averaging significant points, not 40, but 30, 28 over the next, week or two.
Well,
if it begins to kind of gain that same type of cult following, because it is in the same city, obviously a borough over, but that was the first thing that came to mind after that 3rd game. The first thing I thought was, this is kind of Linsanity-esque. So
but he's kind of got some history. I mean, he was, before all this started happening, he was averaging 9.5 points a game in like less than 16 minutes a night. So he can score. It's just that with Durant out and Kyrie not there, he's getting an opportunity.
By the way, in that triple,
21 years old too, and he's the only Nets player to achieve this since they went into the NBA in 1976. Who's the only other player, and he played in the ABA, to pull that off for the Nets?
John Williamson.
Good guess, but it is Rick Barry.
Okay. Because John Williamson was one of those guys that seems like he could score 30 points in 5 minutes.
Oh, Super John? Yeah, he had his moments. I think this is a gem that was stashed on the bench, basically.
Hey, well, there you go.
Hey, it's fine. I mean, just like you made that point a week or two ago. Any one of these guys can play.
Oh, yeah, that's why they're in the NBA. There's no question about it. Hey, by the way, going back to the Denver game for a second with Jokic's halftime triple-double, was he like passing to like Alex English and Kiki Vandeweghe and Fat Lever or something? 146 points in regulation? This is 80s Nuggets?
This is your best look at that great Minnesota defense.
They learned it from the Spurs, apparently.
Oh yeah, it was very Spurs-like.
Talk about the Knicks.
And now let's justify it. Rudy Gobert was even there, but he only played 18 minutes. But nobody played well for them. I mean, Michael Porter Jr. at 30, Aaron Gordon at 24, Jokic only had 20, 12 rebounds and 16 assists in 27 and a half minutes.
What a beast.
So I don't want to hear any of this conversation that he can't win MVP or shouldn't win it again. You're going to have to prove that to me.
I totally agree. By the way,
but yeah, Minnesota just did not show up. The Knicks ended up beating Orlando after looking awful all night.
This is exactly the kind of game I said yesterday I didn't want to see from them. This was a game I wanted to see them go out there and just thump a team they're better than. And they did anything but that. I guess you'll take the win, but I got to tell you, if I'm Thibodeau, I'm driving this as hard as I would a bad loss. Because this
I don't know. I think he's quite happy they gave up 98 points.
Well, that's true.
That's right up his alley. And not only that, Orlando is this type of team that just makes better teams look a little less good. And it drives me nuts about them. But it's just the way it is.
What about New Orleans beating Atlanta?
They've won 3 in a row, believe it or not, after losing like 1 million games. They're playing better. A lot of that, I think, stems from Brandon Ingram being there. And again, I'm not saying he shouldn't be there, but damn, this team plays better without Zion. They get up and down the floor. And it's a lot of fun to watch. As of a week ago, DeAndre Ayton never had a 30-point, 15-rebound game in his career. He's had 2 of them the last 2 games.
Yeah.
So kudos for him. I'm the first to rip him when he's bad. I want to be the first to commend him when he's not.
Yeah, no, and they edged the Suns. The Suns edged the Nets last night by 4. Nets need to get Durant back. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, they do. And I want to see Thomas playing alongside of him. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
There is a report that the Saints and Raiders have agreed on potential Derek Carr trade compensation. And this article is prefaced with a bunch of Carr jerseys in a store on the clearance rack. So it's obvious he's not coming back, which we knew.
Yes. Yeah, they got Jared Steenham. They're good.
Yeah. The only thing holding it back, Carr has to waive his no trade clause to facilitate that move. I don't see why he won't, but I think New Orleans is going to have to sell him on who they are and why he should want to play there.
Yeah, see, that's the thing I agree with. I could see him not waiving his no trade clause to go to New Orleans because I personally believe he's not going to have any shortage of suitors. If I was Derek Carr, I would try to hold out until the Lamar Jackson stuff is settled. The reason being is I think there's an excellent chance if Jackson and the Ravens can't come to an accord, Baltimore would come calling, and I would much rather go there than pretty much any place else that is likely to have an opening.
True. Yep. I don't love the New Orleans situation.
The only thing that would be an interesting one to me, because we know now Purdy's out for a year with the Tommy John. We don't know what's going to happen with Trey Lance. I would at least instruct my representation if I'm Carr to call the Niners and see what they think. Because if I could get 1 year, I know I'm not a long-term fit there, but if I get 1 year as the starter for that team, I could win a Super Bowl. And then who knows what happens from there. But if you're looking for like an obvious long-term play Carolina, New Orleans, maybe Baltimore, depending what happens with Jackson. I don't love a lot of these, but I would be waiting. If I was Carr, I would be waiting to see what happens with Jackson in Baltimore before I make a decision. In fact, the Jets would be a good option. So that would also be a good option. The New York Jets. One other thing is you look at last night, you look at some of these some of the stuff going on with the Super Bowl media. You're starting to get some stuff coming out. You had Andy Reid speaking to the media yesterday, Patrick Mahomes. Of course, Reid is in a unique position. He's coaching for one of the only two teams he's ever been a head coach for. And of course, he's coaching against the other team he's been a head coach for. So this is a very interesting time to be Andy Reid. And for what it's worth, this is Reid on his time in Philadelphia, reflecting a little bit as he met the media yesterday as we start gearing up for the conversation leading into the Super Bowl. Here's Andy Reid.
Yeah, listen, I had 14 great years there. I loved every minute of it. It's a great organization. I still am close with the people there. It was great to see the kids that we had drafted that are now these veteran players, all pro players. And on that team, I had a chance to give them a hug last night, and now we go our separate ways and we get ready to play. So it's but I'm proud of them for what they've done. Proud of Howie Roseman for what he's done. He's done a great job of retooling that team a couple different times, and that's not an easy thing to do. He probably didn't get enough credit for that.
I love Andy Reid.
Interesting. I like that.
He gives good answers to questions without being inflammatory.
Yeah, he does.
And he doesn't dismiss things either. You imagine if someone asked that to Bill Belichick? Sounds something like this. Remember, you know, we got the Sunday game, next game up. Remember. Or ask it to Greg Popovich.
Oh, jeez.
Just give you the death look and be like, no.
Okay. Or John Tortorella, the latest in the curmudgeonly old man back on the bench. Oh, jeez.
We got the ultra-mudgeon team.
I'll hear a reporter ask him this question in length. He goes, man, you know, you really ask some stupid question.
What a jerk.
Tortorella drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's the all grouch team. It's Pop.
Oh, yeah.
It's Belichick. It's Saban. It's Tortorella. It's those four guys. They're like the all grouch team. They should just like go and hang out and like that should be the next banana boat. Everyone was talking about the banana boat crew last night when Melo and Paul and everyone wished LeBron well after breaking the record. That's the next banana boat. Wouldn't that be a fun crew to be a part of? Put all four of them in a group together. Just leave them with their own grouchiness.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, what a bunch of grouches. All right, we got time for one more. What do you make about the Aaron Rodgers situation? He's now going to take time to contemplate his future. He's going with an isolation retreat, but he'll have a decision after that. I still think it's New York or Green Bay. I just can't see him retiring when he's still this good. That's just my opinion.
I'm not sure if it's Green Bay. Are you?
No, I think this is the first time I thought maybe it could be somewhere else. And I think that place, the Jets are going to go after him. They have to. I mean,
they do.
Yeah, I mean, like they have to. So I would check out that. And honestly, I mean, the Niners have to at least think about it, right? I mean, they're so close to just winning a championship. Wouldn't you rather Aaron Rodgers for next year than anyone else right now? I mean, I would for 1 year.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Is that going to kill Trey Lance to wait around one more year? Was he 22? Not going to die.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
funny thing is, I would even consider the Niners.
That's what I'm saying. The Niners. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I missed.
Is Trey Lance? Is it going to kill Trey Lance to wait one more year? Was he 22 right now?
Might be the best thing for him.
I mean, it's not going to kill him, right? And
right.
I mean, if you put Aaron Rodgers in that team, they got everything else. I don't know. Something to think about. Well, there you go. Great show today. Obviously, pretty much a single topic show for most of it. That type of day. We'll be back tomorrow.
But it was fun.
Oh, it was great. And we'll be back tomorrow. We'll dive really heavy into the football stuff, start breaking this game down as we get closer and closer to Super Bowl 57. And we will also have more in the way. 9 games on the NBA docket tonight. A lot of blah games, but there are a couple of good ones. We'll talk about those. And we'll see you tomorrow, 10 to noon, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.